see the benefits of well-being in the legal workplace are probably, no, not probably, certainly more open to realising the benefits for themselves, for their colleagues, for their workforces, of well-being. In other words, if we are going to do law well, we must be well ourselves. There must be a basis of health and well-being in the workforce for us to do our jobs properly. A stressed out workforce that is under the cosh permanently is not going to be a particularly productive workforce, or alternatively, if it makes the beans in one year, in the next year the likelihood is there will be a lot of very fragile people who've been working over long hours to unrealistic targets, whether those are self-imposed or imposed by an organisation, and the cracks will sooner or later begin to show. I mean, that's the reality of it. There have been a number of surveys recently, Law Society surveys, Bar Council survey, and surveys and research in various branches of the profession, which have demonstrated simply that. So firms and chambers and organisations where well-being is thought about and is thought about proactively are far more likely to be productive, effective places where people can be happy about and continue to be lawyers in the way that they wish to be lawyers when they first started off their training, back in the day when they were idealistic law students. And whether we don't instinctively look after the software, we have to look after the hardware. In other words, we're trained in a technical way. We're trained to be lawyers, we're trained to know law, we're trained to do law, we're trained in the techniques and practice of negotiation or drafting or advising or advocacy, and we have to focus on being good at those things. Some of the qualities that actually make us good lawyers are more on the software side, the personal skills. Can we look after ourselves? Can we relate well with other people who we are negotiating with or who are working in our teams? And there's a tension between the instinctive and the necessary competitiveness and rivalries, and the need to collaborate, the need to be empathic in the way that we run our legal lives. So I think there's a tension here between doing law as lawyers and doing law in the way that we've been trained to do law, and doing life on the other side, being lawyers on the one side and being livers on the other side. So there's a tension here, and I think that that feeds into the difficulties that a lot of lawyers, when they feel under considerable stress in professional life, just don't have the tools, the techniques, the skills, and haven't been taught those at an earlier stage in their professional careers to actually work it all through and to see things in better perspective. Okay, thinking feelings and feeling thinkings is an idea that has come from the ideas around mentalisation that have been thought about and have been developed quite extensively in a number of areas over the last, I suppose, 10 to 20 years really. Mentalisation, the essential concept of mentalisation is really pretty straightforward. It's about being curious about the way people behave and thinking about why people do what they do, being motivated by their thinking and their emotions. Somebody does something, why did they do that? They will be doing that because they have a belief, they have an aspiration, they have a desire, they have a motivation, which prompts the action. And it's about being curious in day-to-day life about why people do things, why other people say things, why they say things in a particular way, why somebody says something to me in a particularly aggressive way. Why is somebody being difficult with me when I haven't been difficult with them? Why is somebody being overly friendly to me because I haven't done anything to attract their attention or to prompt them to behave in that sort of way? So mentalisation is about, in terms of therapy, is about helping individuals to be more self-aware and to be more other-aware as a way of doing life better, and to help us to understand ourselves and to help us to understand ourselves in relation to other people in a more in a healthier way and in a more functional way and a more normal way, basically. So being curious, just simply curiosity, wondering about why I'm feeling in a particular way, why somebody else is behaving towards me or saying something to me in a particular way, helps me to ponder, to wonder about all of a number of the various explanations for what might be going on under the surface. And that, I think, helps us to take a more provisional way of doing relationships. We don't make assumptions. Somebody's being aggressive towards me, therefore I must be aggressive towards them. They're being aggressive towards me because they're an idiot. It may be that something has happened for them earlier in the day or earlier in life that has sparked off a reaction which, for no clear reason to me and a reason for which I may never be aware, so something's going on for them. It's their stuff, it's not my stuff. Thinking feelings and feeling thinkings is a rather cryptic way of articulating what happens in everyday life. Now, lawyers aren't trained to do emotion. We are brain people, we're intellectual people. That's where our capital is, that's where we make our money from. So we're not particularly emotionally literate. But if we are able to listen to what our bodies are telling us, what our emotions are telling us, as well as what our thoughts are telling us, then that can help hugely in interpreting what's going on around us and what's going on inside us. So mentalisation, it's about helping ourselves to be more emotionally literate, being curious about what the other person might be thinking, what might be going on for them, and being curious in the light of the evidence that we see and the evidence that we are experiencing. And then, as lawyers, we do thinking all the time. We are supreme analysts, and if we're not, then we're rubbish at our job. So that comes instinctively, and probably we tend to go to trying to think about causes and reasons rather than stay at the curiosity stage and just ponder what might be going on, rather than to jump to analysis and conclusion and advice and solutions. Yeah? And we can pick up those clues in personal interactions. We can see someone, we can look at someone's face, and we can pick up, what do I see? What's the body language telling me? Is it open and welcoming, or is it shut and closed? And is the expression open and welcoming, or is it a bit suspicious? What's the cause of that furrowed brow? And not automatically jumping to conclusions, but again, just having the space to be curious about what might be going on for that other person. Listening not only to the words that are being said, but to the tone of voice in which that's being said, or the words that aren't being said. Just being curious and to have space to think about what might be going on for that other person. And then thirdly, the analysis. Just being curious about, well, I know that person has had a particular difficulty there. I know they don't get on with so-and-so in chambers. I know from what so-and-so told me that they had a difficult day in court yesterday, that they've got a 5-day trial coming up next week, and they haven't got all the evidence together. So that so-and-so fell out with their partner. So it's being aware of these other clues and being aware of the context in which stuff happens. So curiosity is about, it comes in different ways, and there's some ideas in the book about how to pause just for 5 minutes or so, to slow down and to think about ways in which we can be more conscious about what might be going on under the surface, rather than to jump to automatic conclusions about what we're